So I've started my restoration project on my Machinist toolbox, and so this is what it looks like after you take off all the leatherette, and I've taken off all the hardware, and it's pretty it needs a new coat of leatherette. We're not going to be able to use the wood that's underneath. For one, it's not an oak wood, it's another type of wood. And then this is the top lid, and it's in pretty rough shape. So I'm going to maybe use a sponge and some really hot water and see if I can get some of that hide glue off of there. And if that doesn't work, then well, I'll use a little sandpaper anyway. So that's the start of the project anyway. The drawers stick really bad, so hopefully, well, I'm going to try to tighten up all the runners and this divider here, and then some of it may even need to be sanded down. And then, the hardware. I soaked the hardware in Evapa something. Anyway, it's like it takes care of rust, and it takes all the rust out. So, like for instance, here's let me turn the light this way. This is one of the latches, and it's all the rust is gone, but there's a lot of caked on dirt. And so I did take a wire brush to this one. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it cleans up really well. So that's my next step, is to brush all the hardware and to continue to clean the wood, and then repair the wood, and then put it back together. Okay, so here's the box. I've pretty much taken all of the leatherette off of all the surfaces, and I cleaned the wood with Murphy's oil soap, and I used as hot a water as I can. I brought it almost up to a boil, and then I would use a scrubber sponge, and I would kind of get the soapy water on the surface, and I'd let it kind of soak on the surface for a couple minutes, and then I would use the sponge to kind of scrape it off, and then I actually used a putty knife, which worked pretty good. The putty knife worked really good for scraping off the old dried hide glue. And I'll show you what I found when I took this apart. Actually, the top lid's in pretty good condition. There's a little bit of area where they kind of they put on a secondary lock because they had, I don't know what happened in the original one, but I wish they still had it, but it's no longer there. And it kind of shows how rough of a life this tool chest really had. And the front lid is right here, and it's actually in pretty good condition. Even this little groove here, which fits into the dado right down on the bottom, fits pretty good. It also has some big chunks kind of taken out of it, but I'm going to fill that with wood filler, so that I can put the new leatherette over that. Also fill in the holes where they had put the hasp block on there. And there's some nails that they had put in there. I'm assuming that's because the leatherette was starting to peel. And then on the box itself, there's a few areas that need to be glued. Right here there's a crack that needs to be put a little glue in there. All the finger joints are actually pretty good. notice right up here, there's like a scarring, like there's a fire. And when I stripped the wood down, I could smell like charred, like it'd been in a fire. So I think what happened is, I don't know if the guy left a torch, but anyway, it burned into the wood quite heavily. So I'm going to try to just clean that up. I'm not going to strip it all the way down because I think that might be not really fixable. Might be, but I don't know. The runners actually seem to be in pretty good condition on both sides, and even in this divider portion. This divider needs to be attached a little bit more firmly to the shelf up on top. And speaking of that shelf, the shelf had another layer of laminate, I don't know what you call it, it was like a plywood, so the top piece of plywood that was laminated all together had water damage, so I peeled it out, and it actually makes it pretty thin. And then inside there's this piece is part of this top board here that needs to be glued back, and then you can just see how it's like almost just 1/8 inch plywood up there, so that actually needs to be replaced. And then to replace that, you would need to replace this back board here, which is plywood itself. And so it's going to take a lot more work than I thought. So basically, this back panel here is just nailed in, and it's probably glued too, but the glue won't be a big problem because it's hide glue, and that can be removed pretty easily. And you can see here that it's just kind of peeling away. It had some water damage, although the bottom is still pretty solid. So probably what I'll end up doing is replacing this backboard and this shelf here. So unless I can glue that back on there, I'm just not totally sure yet. I might try to reuse it because it's just this top laminated piece. I might be able to glue that back in, but I'll still have to take it out to replace this little shelf. So we'll see what happens. I might try to glue it back in because it's really not too bad. It's just along the edges here and some of these areas over here. Anyway, that's kind of an update as to where I stand with the restoration of this Union tool chest. It's been a fun project, so hopefully you enjoy the progress I'm making on it. Thanks for watching.